Hey, welcome back to the channel. Have a video today on axle bars. Which one is the right axle bar for you? And this is an axle bar worth having. If that's something that's interesting to you, stick around. Okay, so axle bars. I've been thinking about buying an axle bar for a long time. One of the reasons is I love variability. One of the things that keeps me coming back to the gym, to my home gym day after day, is having a lot of variability. It keeps it exciting for me. It's why I like to have a football bar, and it's why I like to have a camber bar and a safety squat bar and different barbells. No different here with an axle bar. And the other reason is axle bars, they're relatively inexpensive. So I've been thinking about buying an axle bar for a long time, and I finally pulled the trigger a few months ago. And I've used this for a few months. This one right here is the Cerberus Strength Axle Bar, and I'll get into why I chose this one and if I think that was a good idea to this day. But before I get into that, is an axle bar worth it? So this video is not for strongmen. If you're a strongman and you're watching this, great. But the folks in the strongman lane, they use axle bars all the time. It's part of their competition. Of course, they're going to have one in their training. This video, though, is directed more toward just everyday people that have home gyms or people like me that have a home gym. And I train almost specifically, a lot of times specifically, for powerlifting. Is an axle bar something that you could add to your arsenal to give you some, I don't know, some accessory movements that would help my bench, my squat, or my deadlift? So one of the people I follow is Alan Thrall. Alan Thrall, if you don't know, he's the owner of an awesome gym called Untamed Strength here in Sacramento, California. I've met him. I've actually had him work with me on my bench and my deadlift. The guy's a really cool guy. He was California's strongest man a couple years ago for his weight class. Anyway, his channel, it's a great channel. I'm going to link it in the description. He's seriously worth a follow. Really cool guy. Produces a lot of cool content. But he had a video one day of where he was doing deadlifts with an axle bar using straps. And when I first saw that, I thought, that's kind of odd. Why would you be doing an axle bar deadlift and using straps? Because the whole purpose, or one of the main purposes of an axle bar, is it's harder to grip. It's not going to be knurled, or at least most aren't. And if you're deadlifting with it, you're trying to work on your grip strength. But here he is, Alan, doing deadlifts with an axle bar, but using straps. So that, to me, it didn't make sense. But he explains it, and I'll link the video. He explains it. When you're deadlifting with an axle bar, because of the 2-inch diameter versus like a 27 millimeter or a 28 millimeter bar, 2 inches is about 50 millimeters. So because of that big diameter, that bar is going to be out in front of you in a less advantageous position. So you're deadlifting with the bar in a less advantageous position, even if you have straps, and it is a lot different. And even just an inch out in front of you makes a world of difference. And so I've tried that. I've tried to deadlift with an axle bar using straps, and I got to tell you, it hits your hamstrings in a way that normal deadlifts don't. I mean, it is a killer. And it's just because, again, that bar is sitting out in front of you. So that's one reason why, once I did those, it's like, yeah, you can really add these to your training to provide a lot of different stimuli to hit your muscles in a little different way. So that's one reason where a deadlift can be used with straps, where an axle bar is perfect to give you kind of a different feel. Obviously, if you deadlift without straps with an axle bar, it's I have some footage. I mean, it's like learning to deadlift again. It's very difficult. Same thing with bench. I really love to use the axle bar for pause squats. It's just stiff. It just feels different. So for me, there's a lot of different things I can do. Curls with this really hit your forearms. I really like having this as part of my arsenal, and for the price, it's pretty darn affordable. So with that said, there's a lot of different axle bars out there. This is the Cerberus Strength Axle Bar that I chose. You'll notice the Cerberus has the cool little red power markings here. These other markings I've added. I just used red tape. And I added that because as I went to deadlift with this bar, there were no markings here, and there was no center marking, and I was nowhere near centered on the bar, and it was just lopsided. Again, if you're a strong man and you don't get the marks, you may not want to add them, but for me, it was crucial. Also, the center marking, so when I did squats with this, I wasn't lined up where my neck's out here, and the thing's all cattywampus. So I really like that they added this, but you can add this yourself. You can't really tell much of a difference from a distance between my little red lines and this red line. But there's so many different ones. So when I bought the axle bar, I did a lot of research. And I want to talk about why I chose this Cerberus Strength one. First thing, the Cerberus Strength one, let's talk about it. It's more expensive than most axle bars. So this bar was $245. That was with a 15% off code. They do a lot of different sales, but with 15% off, and then $30 for shipping. So it was $245. It did cost me $30 for shipping. I got 15% off. To my door, I paid $243.97. So that's probably a little more expensive than a lot of people would like to spend on an axle bar. But this bar is 55 pounds. It's 50 millimeters, so it's 2 inches in diameter. That's pretty standard. The 55 pounds, is either you know or you'll find out, is not standard. It's about 86 inches long, which is fairly standard. This is a little bit longer than most of the other axle bars you'll find. So this is a big boy, and it's got a 1,500 pound load rating. So you're never even going to come close to overloading this bar at 1,500 pounds. I looked at other bars. So Titan Fitness, for example, $85 in free shipping. So you're probably thinking, well, why would you go Cerberus Strength if you can get an axle bar that doesn't have knurl? You know, they're not really made to look fancy. If you can get one for $85 with free shipping, because it's 24 pounds. The thing weighs 24 pounds. It was actually the first axle bar I've ever used was the Titan axle bar. A buddy of mine has it, and it just feels, it doesn't feel very high quality at 24 pounds. So theirs is 24 pounds. It has a 660 load rating. Am I going to put over 660 pounds on an axle bar? Probably not. But I am going to put 400 to 500 pounds on an axle bar. And I just don't want to do that with a bar that weighs 24 pounds. That's just me. But it was important to me that I found an axle bar that had some beef to it. And 24 pound, I'm going to pass on that every day personally. So I went to Rogue, good old Rogue. I have a lot of Rogue bars. They're overbuilt. The Rogue axle bar's got to be, 50, 60, 70 pounds, right? No, it's 25 pounds. It's $145. You do have to pay for shipping. And it even has a lower load rating, 650 pound load rating. Same thing, it's about 7 feet long, or 84 inches. So it's like, no, I'm not going Rogue. So then I looked at Rep Fitness. Good old Rep Fitness. They've been surprising everybody. I have a Rep Fitness open trap bar. I love it. Rep Fitness has done me well. I have a Rep Fitness bench. So their axle bar, 22 pounds with a 700 pound rating. It's just me. I don't want a bar that's 22 pounds if I'm going to load 400 to 500 pounds on it. If I'm going to squat with it with over 400 pounds or do deadlifts with it with 400 and plus pounds, even if I'm using straps, I don't want to do it on a 22 pound bar. I don't. it feels cheap to me. And like I said, I've used the Titan one. I wasn't impressed. It just feels dinky. So the Rep Fitness one's cheap. It's only 80 bucks, free shipping, 50 millimeters. So the same diameter as this Cerberus Strength one, but it's only 22 pounds. Fringe Sport is a little bit different. Fringe Sports is 44 pounds with a 1,000-pound rating, so it's kind of a nice tweener. 215 bucks, so it's a little more expensive, but it's also twice as heavy, or almost. More than twice as heavy as like the Rep, and almost twice as heavy as like Titan and Rogue. So the Fringe Sport one, 44 pounds, 1,000-pound rating, 50 millimeters. They're all about 50 millimeters, 215 bucks. So, oh, and I looked at Vulcan. Vulcan was 36 pounds, and it was $140. So that's why I ended up going with this bar. Am I happy with it? I am. The bar has been good. Like I said, the powder coat's nothing special, but it's fine. It's actually held up pretty well. I don't really care about the grip. It is kind of grippy, powder coat, which is nice because there's no knurl. Like I said, I added my own markings. The power markings were there. In terms of collars, it doesn't take normal collars. It shouldn't take normal collars, but I have these Rogue Oso magnetic collars. They actually work on this bar. So it's kind of hard to clamp it shut to get it to clamp, but it works, and it's on there solid. One thing I don't love about the bar, but I think it's similar with most of these axle bars, is the collars are close enough in that, and small, that when you have weight on here, you can bump it coming in and out of the rack, just like a regular barbell with small collars. So for me, I end up using my Rogue magnetic Oso collars as spacers. I throw them on. So I'll show you. Take these, throw it on, clamp it. I put one each side so I have a spacer. I have 2 sets of these Rogue Oso collars, and then I'll end up, if I'm doing bench, I don't use the collars but you could. But squats or whatever, or deads, then I'll throw the second set of collars on. Works pretty well. I do like this bar. It's been, it just feels heavy duty. I'm only gonna have this axle bar my whole life. I'm not looking to upgrade. If you're looking to get something fancy with an axle bar, I don't know why you're looking for an axle bar. They do have some axle bars that are fancier, that have knurl, and Black Widow training's an example. But again, I just wanted a regular axle bar. I didn't want the knurl because I do want to work on some grip stuff. And for me, Cerberus Strength, a little more expensive, but this thing is, it's beefy. Again, it's 55 pounds. I like it. Do you guys use axle bars? What do you got? Let me know in the comments. As always, like and subscribe. Till next time, adios.